Hey, another week is upon us. Hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. Welcome to episode 38 of Outside the Chute. I'm your host, Randy Frame. Big weekend for coaches hitting milestones in the NCAA these past few days. We'd like to congratulate Justin Walker of George Mason University and Sarah Caffrey of Bucknell University on their first career head coaching wins. Also to UNLV head coach Christy Fox on her 100th win, Casey Burgoyne-Charles of Delta State on her 300th, and to Eastern Kentucky head coach Jane Worthington on her impressive 800th career win. Big congrats from us here at Outside the Chute. This week's OTC Player of the Week comes to us from Louisiana as Sarah White takes home the weekly honors. Sarah had an unbelievable week as she went 10 for 12 with 2 doubles, a triple, 2 home runs, and 13 RBIs, as her and the Houghton Ladybucks won 3 games. Amazing job, Sarah, and best of luck the rest of the season. On to this week's guest, and we sat down and chatted with Cal U of Pennsylvania alum and current Canadian national team member, Natalie Wideman. Nat had a standout career at Cal U where she was a 3-time All-PSAC first-time All-Star, 2014 PSAC Athlete of the Year, as well as the 2014 NCAA Division II Catcher of the Year. She would go on to play for the Canadian national team, where she's won 2 bronze medals at the 2016 and 2018 WBSC World Championships, and the well-known Pan Am Games gold on home soil in Toronto back in 2015. We're going to talk to Nat about getting her start in the game and the influence her 2 brothers had on her growing up, her time at Cal U, her time with the Canadian national team, being a Mizuno Ambassador, and much more. Nat was an absolute pleasure to chat with, and we shared a lot of laughs during our chat. So as usual, grab that drink, sit back, relax, cause here we go.
I got the world in my palm, like camera action, it's on. I can't describe what I'm feeling, ain't never felt this freedom. I got the world in my palm, like camera action, it's on. Ain't never felt this freedom. Could you say that anything goes, anything goes, anything goes, anything goes, anything goes, anything goes. You want it on me? Real deal hip hop.
All right, here we go. Nat, thanks for coming on the podcast.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
How are you, Ro and Luna making out?
Luna's doing well. She's becoming a grown-up. She has her teenager moments, but it's expected, so we're just rolling with it right now.
Right on. It's crazy how much she's grown. Like the first time you posted on Instagram when you first got her, and just between now and then is insane.
I know. She was like 4.5 pounds when we first got her, and we thought she would be about 45, and she's hitting like 50, 55 now. So I'm like, okay, got the muscles going. I see you.
Yeah, becoming a handful now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see she a pretty good catcher as well with the ball.
Oh man, if I'm gonna have a dog, she's got to be athletic. So like right from the get-go, it's just like Luna catches everything part 1, and we would just throw random things at her until she understood, like, oh, you want me to catch it. So now she's just like on high alert at all times. It's great.
Right on. That's awesome. Yeah. I haven't had a dog when was the last time? I was probably a teenager. So in my 20s and my 30s, I never had a dog. And, I guess I'm living vicariously through you watching Luna grow
nice.
up. So it's all
you're
good.
her uncle, which is great.
Yeah. So how's training going for Tokyo?
It's great. Right now we have 9 or 10 of us here in Ontario, which we're very fortunate to have. A bunch of the West Coast girls came this way after our training camp. So it's been amazing to have a core group and just like grind it out together. And when there's days that it's a little bit tougher to get going, you have those people to rely on, which is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Who's all down there right now?
So it's Janet, Erica, Jenna, Holly, Larissa, myself, Emma, Sarah G.
Right on. I saw Sarah was out in Halifax for a bit. I saw there for
Yeah, so her and Morgan is here as well.
Oh,
Morgan
right on.
and her were living in Halifax for a little bit to be with Coach Smith and with our strength coach. So that was awesome. And then more softball specific stuff there with us, which is amazing.
Yeah. How did you like Halifax there last year when you guys were down here for a bit?
I fell in love with it, actually. I've been there once before for a nationals way back when, and I kind of already took a liking to the city, but I love the idea of the small town feel, and everyone really welcomed us and loved having us there. And it was really cool living on the Army base as a group. I felt like I was in college again, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah. Only in Shearwater.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little out of the way. So you guys got to go to like Mooseheads games and Thunderbirds games. I do believe I saw pictures of that. How'd you enjoy that?
We were stoked on it because people were so into the sporting teams there. And even though they're not like MLB or NBA level, they were so invested in those teams, and the support there was really cool that we couldn't help but join that enthusiasm. So it was really fun.
Yeah, it's the Thunderbirds team, the lacrosse team, that it was their first season this year before it got a cut off. And man, did they ever shoot out of the gate. I mean, as far as support from around here, everybody loved it.
Yeah, it was really cool. We loved going to those games. We were hoping to go to more, and then, life kind of took a switch on us.
Exactly. Anyway, every guest that comes on, I ask them the question, when and where did you get your start in the game?
Man, everyone in my family jokes that I just kind of came out the womb and was at the baseball field. Both my brothers played very competitively. So I was kind of the 1, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, just kind of stumbling around and always there, always around. I actually started playing when I think I was 4 or 5, and I started in T-ball, and I told my mom that it was too boring and I wanted to play somewhere else because girls were kicking around in the dirt and making sandcastles, and I'm like, guys, we got to make this double play. Like, what's going on? So I was a little intense for the people I was playing with, but I mean, it is what it is. I fought my way to play with some older girls, which kind of kept me stimulated for the time being, which was great.
Right on. I saw your, I come across, I didn't know that you were the youngest of 7 siblings. And I come across that in your Canada Games profile of all things. I was like,
oh, from PI?
Yeah. I was like, holy cow. I was like, oh, wow. I did not know this. And then I saw about your 2 brothers. So your 2 brothers, Aaron and Jordan, they play professional ball. They must have been obviously huge influence on you growing up.
Oh man, like the way I'm treating Luna with You Catch Everything is basically what they did with me growing up. Hey, like, you're 8 years old, but I'm throwing a knuckleball at you. Figure out a way to catch it. And I'm like, oh, my shins. Like, what? But you adapt so you don't get hurt with older brothers. You're like, okay, I got to figure out a way. Like, I'd be sitting in the basement. Our basement wasn't finished, mind you, but my brother would just be whipping balls at me, and I was in my blocking position, and my dad would come down, and I'd be in tears because I'm like, he's hitting my forearm. He's like, well, it's only going to make you better. And I'm like, okay. But to this day, I'm like, man, if he didn't do that, like, I would not be ready. Like, I'm not afraid of the ball at this point. So like, if he didn't do that back then, I wouldn't, like, I have to thank him. Yeah. Although there were tears, it was worth it. Oh yeah, for sure. Now they, actually when I saw that, I had to go do my research on them, of course. And I saw Jordan was drafted by Cincinnati and Aaron was drafted by the Expos, wasn't it? Yep. Yeah. So Aaron was a pitcher and Jordan was a catcher. So it was a pretty good combo. Oh, wow. That worked out good. Yeah. They would throw pens together, and when Jordan wasn't feeling it, I would pitch in and I would catch for Aaron and kind of make fun of how slow he was. But really, it was just because he was far away. Yeah. I was like, you don't throw as hard as the pitchers I catch for. And he's like, are you kidding me? Then he'd throw me a curveball and humble me because I didn't realize what kind of movement it was. Yeah. So. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. Get him all pissed off at you to throw harder. That's awesome. Yeah. Oh, freak. So tell us about your, like, growing up, your time at Streetsville Secondary and travel ball years. How was that in your development? I played on a lot of different teams, and I don't regret it. I continuously tried to push my boundaries working with older teams, and it took a lot of me writing to different presidents of organizations to kind of say, like, hey, like, I need more competition. I want to face better pitchers. I want to play with better girls. Like, I'm at a young age, I was like, I want to play for Team Canada. So like, this was my way of trying to climb the ladder. So I played with a lot of different coaches, which was great for my development, learning from different people. And at Streetsville, I mean, it was really cool because I played every single sport you could possibly imagine. Up until grade 11, I was kind of like, okay, I need to hone in my skills a little bit. I need to focus on what my actual priority is right now. But I don't regret doing all the sports because I think it ultimately led me to where I am today with the versatility I bring to Team Canada. And without those other sports, I don't think I would be where I'm at now.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a really cool learning curve to do whatever it was, shot put, soccer, rugby, volleyball, like everything and anything. Right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
yeah. That's the thing.
I tell a lot of girls to do the same thing when possible.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've preached it from day one. I mean, it's doesn't make much sense to, just focus on one sport. I think if you're a multi-sport athlete, it's going to help you in the long run.
Oh, absolutely. Even just like learning leadership styles, learning from different coaches, like there's so many different things.
Yeah, for sure. Now, did you, I saw you won a couple nationals, like up through growing up, like was it bantam midget or was it just midget?
Oh man, I feel like that was so long ago. That's what makes me feel old right now. I had the honor of winning a national title with Jenna Kyra. I got called up with her Markham Jaguar team, which was the legacy team. They were like the go-to winning team.
Right on.
So I got to win with them in British Columbia. I also, this is kind of weird, but I got called down. I was playing in midget, but I got called to bantam because I was of bantam age,
right?
To play with the Brantford Bobcats, and I won with them in the bantam category, and that was with Erica Polidori, who's currently my teammate as well. So that's kind of cool. And I won again with the Brantford team when I had finally become one of their actual team members later down the road in midget.
Mm-hmm.
So I got 3, which was really, really cool.
Awesome. I didn't know you got to play with Jenna and Erica. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've been playing with and against them for way too long. Jenna hates facing me because of that, because I've played her since I was like 11, I think.
Well, you would know what she's throwing too. I mean, I guess back then, I guess you wouldn't because of you didn't really catch her then. But now, of course, you know all her tendencies.
Oh yeah. Oh, I saw it before you even threw it. She's like, crap. She's the same way with Raptor, though. She's like, you guys are just in my head. Sorry. Love you.
Yeah. She has a dirty change, though. I'll give her that.
Oh, man. So dirty. Yeah. Even if people know it's coming, I don't necessarily think the majority of them could hit it clean. No. So it's pretty spectacular.
Yeah, for sure. No, I touched on the Canada Games there for a bit in your profile. You'd represent Ontario in 2009 in Summerside. You'd win a silver medal, tough loss, 2-1 loss to BC. Tell us about that experience.
That was actually one of my defining moments in softball. I originally wrote my little application to go to the tryouts, and they told me I was not allowed because of my age. And there was 3 or 4 other girls that were my age that had tried to kind of apply to go to the tryouts, and they had said the same thing. So we kind of had to do a little protest and write up about why we should be a part of the tryouts and whatnot, and basically say, hey, let me go. And if I fall flat on my face, then so be it, but give me the opportunity to see what I can do. Turns out that 3 of us that were 92 that made the team and became starters on the team, which was a really cool fight that we won. And then also it was pretty cool to see that we got to play for Sanderson, who was previously a coach of the national team, the junior women's national team.
Right.
And then we got to play against Coach Smith, who was going to become the senior women's national team coach that year or the next year.
Yep.
He was in the process of becoming a coach.
Yep.
So I remember playing Nova Scotia and being like, oh my goodness, that's the guy I want to play for.
Yeah.
We crushed him, which was great. But I was like, I hope he likes me. But it was a really cool experience because it was the closest thing to an Olympic experience at that point. You got all these different sports going on. You're in this town in PEI that people were just praising you from being there. It was so cool that you got to be there. They were your fan people. It was really awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say it to this day. I got to go to the 97 Canada Games, and it by far probably top 3 experiences of my entire life. It was unreal.
That's so cool. Yeah. I would say the same thing. I think we were on an Army base there as well, which is ironic, but just meeting people and talking to other athletes playing, whether they were rugby or swimming or whatever it was cool to interact with people that were at a high level.
Yeah.
And I'd never done that before outside of my sport.
Yeah. So how did you like Summerside? PEI's amazing.
I loved it. Yeah. So both my brothers had actually had nationals there. And I had went with them growing up. So I always I'd actually been to that stadium a couple times watching them. So it was really cool to go back and be like, hey, it's my turn.
Oh,
I
right
get
on.
to play. I'm not chasing foul balls anymore for free prize. I get to like play.
Free.
And best case scenario would have been a gold, but I mean, the umpire called a foul ball a fair ball and they won. So what can you do?
What can you do?
I'm still holding it tight.
Those
Can you
damn
hear-
umpires.
Can you feel that?
Friggin' umpires. God. So then I want to ask you about the Pan Am Junior Women's Softball Championships in Bogota and then the Junior Worlds the following year in South Africa. You got to play for the Canadian Junior National Team. How were those experiences for you? I imagine that had to be like crazy for you.
I mean, I just got goosebumps when you mentioned it. I remember sitting in the Sheraton in Brampton where we were having our tryouts in the final selection camp and being in the room with all the coaches and just bawling before anyone had said anything. And they're like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, like, I hope I made it. Like, this is like what I've been dreaming of my entire life.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, we'll let you know that you did make it. That's the first thing. And then a sigh of relief came. And then just the realization that I was getting the opportunity to wear the maple leaf on my chest, like, blew my mind. I remember for weeks, we weren't leaving for Bogota quite yet, but I remember just being like, wow, like, it's here. Like, all this work, all these sacrifices, all these missed parties that I didn't go to throughout high school, whatever the case may be. It's like, it was so worth it. And going and competing in Bogota against like Lauren Chamberlain and like Dallas Escobedo, these like ridiculously good athletes. I was like, this is so cool.
Yeah, that would have been amazing.
And then and it was just like an unreal experience thinking about it.
Yeah. Now, when you went there, were you already committed at this time, or was it prior?
I believe I was to Cal U.
Okay.
This is like the end of grade 11, I think.
So
yeah,
what led to the decision to go to Cal U?
Man, I had known Coach B from Cal U when I was about 12 because I was playing with girls that were about 19 at the time, and they were already attending Cal. This was when midget allowed for girls to come back for a year and play in midget one more time after like their first year of college.
Right.
And so he was always around the different Canadian tournaments, and I'd always see him and be like, hi, da, 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 da. And he was close with my coach, Roger. And I'd always kind of just like not thought about it because I was like, oh, I want to go somewhere warm. I want to go down south, blah, 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 blah. And there was something that just really stuck with me about Coach B is that every single time I'd spoken to him and everything he had said to me was the truth, was honest. And I could really trust him.
Right.
And I had heard so many horror stories about different women going to college and saying that they were going to play, saying they were going to do this, that they could do their whatever course they wanted to choose. And then they ended up not being able to. And I was like, man, like of course I want to play ball, but I want also to be surrounded by people that had integrity and that I could trust and that would allow me to further develop my education in whichever course I chose, which at the time was athletic therapy, which was a very demanding course that not a lot of college coaches were okay with.
Right.
So that meant a lot to me, but it also meant a lot to my parents based on the fact that I was going to be moving to another country. And this was basically going to be my guardian when I was away. Mm-hmm. So just stepping in to that and knowing that I could trust what he was telling me about my playing time and about what I could bring to the table for this team and my education was just like I went right in for it because I knew I could trust everything he was going to say.
Right. Now, were there other schools on the radar, or was it always going to be Cal U?
There was a couple. There was like a private school in New York. There was upstate in South Carolina. There was Winthrop in South Carolina. The biggest problem for me was, oh, you're 5'3"? Yeah, I'm small, but like, girl can pack a punch.
Yeah.
Like, I know the size is a big deal, especially when you're dealing with catchers. A lot of coaches want this big presence, which I don't blame them, but like, I can bring presence, baby. At 5'3", I can bring it. It's just a matter if you can like see me long enough to like see it.
Yeah,
give
for
me
sure.
A chance.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of people are like, oh, you're going to a D2, but really I was like, it's as much as a D2 is whatever you make it. Like
exactly.
I knew my ultimate goal was to play with Team Canada. And in order to do that, I needed a lot of game reps.
Yep.
And I knew I was going to get that at Cal, which was really important to me. I didn't necessarily think me sitting on the bench for 3.5 years was going to get me where I needed to be. so it was like a trade-off of like, yeah, it's D2, but I'm still going to rock it. Like, make the most of it.
I know. I hate when I see online, like people talking down on D2 and even D3. I mean, like you said, you're getting your reps, you're getting what you need, and you had your end goal and you met it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's what the athlete puts into it is what they'll get out of it, ultimately.
Exactly. Actually, you talking about your height there, the 5'3". It's funny because last night when I was, doing my research for this, and I came across a picture of you and Rafter, and
at Pan Am.
Yes.
Pan Am.
Oh my God! I was like, either Rafter looks like she's 7'3", or Nat is like 5'2".
Nothing.
Well,
yeah.
But, yeah. Oh man, I laughed pretty big at that last night. So
you should see it when I'm bullpenning some of the male pitchers that come in, and one of the guys, Grant, is like 6'7". I'm like, all right, bud, what are you gonna throw? What's the go-to today?
Yeah.
And people are probably looking at me like I'm his daughter. Like, what is this? Yeah,
that's awesome. So. Campus life at Cal U. I went online and checked it out. Campus, man, looks beautiful there. How was campus life there?
I loved it. I mean, it wasn't huge, but I didn't really want huge. I wanted comfortable. I don't know how to describe it. I could walk to all my classes. I could walk to go see Coach B at the athletic building. I ran to the field. It was like a mile away, but like I could probably walk there. Yeah. Everything was like within proximity. And a lot of people always make fun of me because at Cal, there's not that much other than the school, a subway, and a quick fill. Like it's very quiet. And they're like, how did you survive? I was like, I had good people and I had a goal. Like I was busy. I had things to do, right? So it wasn't necessarily that I needed this big fancy place to do it in. I just needed the right mindset to tackle what I was trying to tackle. Right
on. So what do you remember about arriving there for your freshman season?
I remember going in, and I had been earlier, like the year before, to like meet and see everyone and all this kind of stuff. I was a little bit nervous based on the fact I was told I was coming in and I was going to be the starting catcher, which meant a junior was going to be pulled from that and she was going to become a DH. I remember being really nervous about that situation. Right. And she was the best human about it. Like so good. It was like, this is what you need to know. This is how we do things. Let me know if I can help you. Like was just like a great person to help me, to lead me through that role, and taught me so much about being humble about whatever your role is. Just do it to the best of your ability. So that was like a great learning curve, and it's helped me a lot throughout my journey thus far since then.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I remember feeling really excited because I knew there was 4 or 5 other Canadians on the team that I had grown up playing against. So I was like, okay, like I'm not going in blind. I know what I'm going into. I know these people. I've played with these people. So there was a little bit of familiarity for me, which was like really great.
That's awesome. Do you recall your first game against Winston-Salem State?
Oh man, I feel old. Oh no.
I always ask, I've asked everybody about their first game, and there's only been a couple that have actually remembered. So I like asking the question. Then. Yeah.
I feel way better.
You went 2 for 3 with a run scored, just so you know.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Just blindly walking into my freshman year and just kind of like doing whatever. I just remember my freshman year just like getting away with things. No one knows who you are, so they just throw you certain pitches. You're like, I'll take that. Thank you. That's my favorite pitch.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then sophomore year, you're like, okay, I need to get a little bit smarter. They know who I am. Crap. So it all changes.
Yeah. Oh, frig, that's awesome. So what was your biggest takeaway from that first season with the Vulcans, do you think?
Oh, I had to shift my mindset, and I was there and I was having fun and I was doing fairly well, but being a freshman and moving away and having your fair share of fun, I was like, okay. Let's reel it back in here. Let's get focused on what that end goal is again. Like you had your fun, you're here. Now you kind of have the lay of the land. Now what? Like, let's get it like narrow tunnel focused almost. Not that the first year was bad, not that I was swaying away, but I knew I needed a little bit more structure, a little bit more discipline. And that's what I took into my sophomore year with a huge help from our strength and conditioning program, but then also just actually support from Team Canada and what I needed to bring in to practice in my college career, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Actually, talking about the team kit, after that first season, was that when you went to South Africa for the Junior Worlds?
Yeah. So we went in December. I think after Thanksgiving break, I just didn't have to go back to school, which was blessed. I ended up doing my exams early and then got to head out to South Africa. I'm like, see you later, guys.
Yeah.
Going across the world. Like, no big deal. It was incredible, but it was also an eye-opening experience. Our junior team probably had the best roster that we could have ever possibly had, and we didn't pull through with a medal, which was very upsetting when we should have. So looking back at it, there's a couple of us on the senior team now. We're like, man, we were just out there just like lollygagging around. Like, we should have like geared into that. We didn't really know how good we were until we looked back at it. So that's a little sad, but South Africa is by far the favorite place I've ever visited. Mm-hmm. So it was still an incredible experience. Did you get to travel around and see any of the spots around there? We actually had, day one, Victoria Hayward and I went for a jog outside of the hotel. And then that evening we were told that we were not supposed to go outside without security. So that was a game changer. We're like, oh, okay, well, we're alive. We're good. We're good. Yeah, we're still here, guys. Don't worry. And then we only had actually a day after the tournament finished. And we went up Tabletop Mountain, I think it's called, with Vic, and then Krissa Havenge, one of my teammates, and her father kind of led us through it because he's Mr. Adventure. So we got to climb that, which was, oh my goodness, no words can describe it. If you can look it up online, do it. It's so cool. I'll definitely do that. So back to Cal U, you had an amazing 4-year career there. Any big memories stick out for you there, whether it's on or off the field? Ooh. I think my biggest takeaway from it was my mindset shift from junior to senior year. Right. My junior year stats, if you probably looked at them, weren't so hot. And I remember after my junior year season in the summer, I was just reflecting on like, how was I walking into my at-bats? And I was literally walking in like, okay, don't screw this up. Don't swing at this one. And I was like, man, how did I not notice that? So from the day I stepped back onto campus in the fall for my senior year, I was like, this is business. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do it. I remember sitting down with my coach and telling him like, hey, this is what I need from you. I need you to be like my belief system with me, and let's tackle this together because I want to be the best senior you've had to show up for you this year. And this is what I need from you and whatnot. And he was amazing at being that person for me and giving me that like slap on the back if I needed it to be like, hey, let's go. You got this. Like, this is why I brought you here. And I went into it. I didn't look at my stats at all season. And I just focused on really just being logical versus being emotional. Okay. Mm-hmm. She may have gotten me out on that pitch. How can I win my next at bat against her based on what she just did with me in that at bat? And I just said, this moment, have a quality swing here, have a quality swing here, and just being really present. And then at the end of the season, when all was said and done, I was like, dude, I freaking killed it. And it showed. And it wasn't about me. Like, it wasn't my goal to have a particular stat or have a particular award. It was my goal of showing up every moment for my team and being 100% invested in that moment. Yeah. Well, I'm looking at the stats right now. I just brought them up. So you hit 287 and you jumped to 454 in your senior year. I mean, that's something clicked. Yeah, something. And it honestly, it was not physical. It was mental, which is, I tell athletes all the time, yes, you can physically know how to swing, but if your mindset isn't there, you're nothing. Yeah. The physical part doesn't mean anything. Yeah, exactly. Actually, I'm looking at another stat. You never missed a game. You played every single game. Wow. So that was one of the things Coach B had told me coming in. You're going to play every single game. I'm like, okay. And I mean, my sophomore year, I played second. And then because he was like, listen, based on who we have in our rotation, yes, I would love you behind the dish, but I need you at second because it allows for the best case scenario on all 9 on the field. Right. I'm like, all right, let's do it. Like, whatever you need. I think I played a game in right field. Wasn't really prepared for that, but I mean, hey, let's do it. I know what you mean. Whatever you need, Coach. Whatever you need. Oh my God. Like, I'm a pitcher and
if you stuck me in the outfield, I cannot catch a fly ball to save my life. Like if there's one hit in the infield and it's high, I have no problem. I don't know what it is, but if it's something in the outfield,
the grass, man, the grass kills you.
Gotta be. Like it's just unreal.
Yeah, like I would not recommend to Coach Smith to put me in the outfield, but like, hey, if he wants to make that call,
yeah,
I'm in, Coach. Do whatever you need.
Do whatever you have to do, right? Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So let's jump over to the women's national team now. How awesome was it for you when you initially got named to the senior team?
Oh,
I can only imagine.
Yeah, it was 2012, and the amount of names on that team that I had grown up watching, and now I'm like, oh, you're my teammate. Like, what? I was just like, hi, I'm Natalie. So nervous. I'm getting like nervous thinking about it, but it's crazy. Like, Allison Bradley was my coach growing up at like a random pitching clinic, and then all of a sudden she was like on the field with me. I'm like, hi,
wow.
What? Like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Or Megan Timp, I've grown up being compared to her all my life. My coaches growing up were like, man, you're just like Timp. And I was like, that's like the biggest compliment. That is so cool. And then I'm like, dude, you're my teammate. I want to be like you. How can I be like you? Like, what?
That's awesome.
It was just, and there were so many Olympians that I could just pick their brains. So I was just a sponge trying to take in as much as information as I could before they were going to retire or leave. I'm like, please don't leave. Please don't leave. I need to know more. But it was cool.
Yeah. Plus having Rafter there. I mean, you must have, you must pick her brain. Yeah.
Her and Erin Cumstone, I was just like, I will bullpen for you whenever you need it. Just fill me with all your knowledge. I'm still like that with Rafter. I'll text her in the middle of the week, be like, hey, like, can you help me with this? Like, you are the wisdom of all. Like, I have so much respect for her.
Yeah, it's crazy the amount of people I talk to on here and just what they have to say about Kaylee and how much of a student of the game she is. Oh yeah, and her respect and love for the connection between one of us on the team means the world. Mm-hmm. Like, it's so vital on a team. Like, yes, she has a lot of knowledge, but she also wants each person to individually grow and be their best version of themselves. And she's really pouring herself into helping others do that, which is like, I thank her once a week for what she's done for me this past year. Right now. That's awesome. I want to ask you about the Worlds in Whitehorse. How are the nerves leading up to that? I feel like I didn't actually have that many nerves. I think I was more excited and I don't want to say like no expectations, but right. I was just like, man, I get to be here. Like, this is so cool. Yeah. Like, that was kind of my mindset. I'll never forget. We were playing against, mind you, I was a third catcher. I was a bullpen catcher, and I was there to like fill in some roles when needed, which I had no problem doing. Exactly. Yeah. But I remember we were playing Japan, and Wayno was pitching, and it was like the seventh inning. She was throwing a no-hitter. There was 2 outs, and Coach Smith's like, Wideman, like, you get the pinch hit. I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah. And I think I like dumped a little like blooper over second base, and I was running down first. I'm like, I'm gonna break this no hitter. Like, holy crap. And then the second baseman out of nowhere, like, dives, spins, makes a dirty throw. And I'm like, just kidding. Oh, nice try, man. Though. But everyone's like, you tried. You did good, kid. Yeah. I'm like, thanks, guys. That's awesome. That would have been wicked if you had broke up the no-hitter. Right? Especially against her. I was like, oh, come on. I was like, can I just be a little bit faster? So what did you think about the being daylight there for pretty much 24 hours a day? That must have been pretty trippy. Yeah, actually, that was probably the weirdest thing. We had gone a couple times beforehand to like kind of prepare for it. We did a training camp and whatnot there. But I remember having the blackout curtains in our rooms, which was like a game changer to help out, because you'd finish a game and it was like 10:30 at night and you felt like it was dawn. It was like bright out. So you're like, so now what? And like, okay, you got to go to bed. It's like, oh, okay. Let me just try to turn off my body real quick. Yeah, exactly. It's pretty crazy. They don't even have lights there. I know. Yeah. It was so weird. Yeah. Like a couple of my friends played on the men's team, and they had their worlds out there as well. And they were telling me about, there's not even lights out there. And I was like, what? And they're like, well, it's always light. And I was like, that is just crazy.
It was cool though, because usually at night games, sometimes you'll be like, okay, I'm a little bit tired, but you never got tired because your body just kept thinking it was daytime.
Right.
So I was with it because I'm a grandma. I like my sleep. So it being light really helped me out in the game.
Right on. So after that tournament, was there anything you took from that tournament that you're like, okay, like after seeing all those, like, you know, the big names there, is there something you were like, oh, I got to work on this. I got to work on this.
I just really noticed the knowledge of the game that I needed a lot more of it. And that was going to take time, reps, picking people's brains. And I still think that. I still look at people on my team and like, okay, I could improve here, here, and here and ask these questions. But it's a fine balance between wanting to know all this knowledge, but also trusting your skills and having confidence in what you bring to the table. Maybe I don't have the same knowledge as Raptor yet, but I have other things, you know, like, so kind of balancing the two.
Yeah.
But that was huge. I went back the next season at school. At everything going on with softball. And I was like, okay, what can I start doing? How can I get better? What videos can I watch? So that would probably played a big part going into your senior season there at Cal U then, like, you know, as far as confidence goes anyway. Oh yeah. Being on the senior team and then going back to Cal was like, okay, now what? Let's do it. Yeah. Like I'm facing these insane pitchers and different competitors on the international level. I should be able to handle. I should be able to handle who I'm facing moving forward.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
With confidence.
Yeah, for sure. Let's jump to 2015. That's a pretty big year for you guys.
Very big year. Won
the Pan Am Games on home soil in Toronto. Like I've talked to, you know, Holly and Kaylee and Jenna on here about this, and I like getting the personal perspectives from each one of them. So maybe take us through that tournament.
Whew. Again, goosebumps.
Yeah.
I had never experienced playing in front of people in my area because I'm from the Greater Toronto area. Our home field was always in British Columbia for our tournaments.
Right.
So going into that tournament, I was just like, wow, there's so many people that I know that are going to be coming out to support me. I had my high school principal come out. I had a group of elderly people from a gym that I was working out at that had known that I was training from this, and they came out with signs for me. I had a girl that I played softball with in T-ball come out and watch. Like, it was just incredible to see the support and to feel the love.
That is awesome.
But that, yeah, like there's no other, like, I can't explain it. Even having my brothers there, they hadn't seen me play since I was probably 10 or 11.
Wow.
So that was they were always busy with their own schedule.
Yep.
So for them to carve out time and come, I was like, oh dude, like let's go. Like, let's go. Let's show them what they taught me, what they built within me.
Yeah.
So that external thing was great, but the internal thing of our team and where we were at, we were so aligned with what we were doing and how we were going to do it and what we brought to the table that I had no doubt in my mind we were winning that tournament. The day of the championship game, we were taking ground balls on the side of the field to warm up. And I looked at Megan Tintz and I said, we're winning this. There's no doubt in my mind right now. Like, we are ready and we are going to war right now. And
wow.
Like, everyone was on the same page. And it didn't matter if you were a bullpen catcher. It didn't matter if you were a starting left fielder. It didn't matter if you were taking stats on the bench and you were relaying them to someone on field. Everyone was there in that moment to do whatever it took. So that was like, my heart just beats for that.
Man, I got goosebumps from you just saying that.
Yeah, like, we keep striving for that feeling and that alignment, and the alignment changes sometimes.
Yeah.
The goal changes sometimes. The vibe changes. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just adapting and kind of growing. But at that moment in that tournament, everyone was like, eyes on the prize, let's go. Like, so focused.
And Sarah pitched lights out in the finals against the U.S. Like, she was on top of her game.
She's a beast.
Yeah.
A beast. And she was young, but she went in there with such a presence and such a confidence that she was capable of doing it.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that seeing that in the circle like was contagious for the rest of the team. I was playing first base for the last couple games of the tournament, which I've never played in my life. But
oh wow,
just seeing that, just seeing that,
just throwing you in there.
Yeah, well, some stuff changed, some things happened, and it was just like, all right, you're going to first. Like, you're a catcher, just catch the ball. Like, it's fine. Yeah. I was like, okay, cool. But seeing that example by Sarah in the circle was just like, there was no other option for me but to be that present, but to be that confident. So having someone like that lead your team through an event like that in a game is massive. Yeah.
Oh, that like, I've watched the game a few times, like online, and I get goosebumps watching it. So I can only imagine what you guys went through after that last out. It was pretty incredible.
Yeah. I can just see us all jumping on one another. I think Megan Tipp fell over and got knocked, but I mean, it's fine. She was in it. She was really excited.
Yeah, those knocks are all right. Now, leading up to Olympic qualifiers in 2019, you guys would play in the National Pro Fast Pitch League as the Canadian Wild. How did you enjoy that?
It was a dream come true to get to play in the MPF. Never did I ever think that I'd be a quote-unquote professional softball player. I thought I get to play in NCAA. I got the opportunity to play internationally. I didn't really know how the pro league would fit in with that. So on an individual level, that was a really cool accomplishment to get to do that. But then on a team level, I think it was amazing for us to face really good competition on a regular basis and also get to build this partnership with the minors in Southern Illinois. They had a really great fan base. They had a great program that supported us and believed in us and thought the world of us and brought out fans and just did everything and anything to make us comfortable, happy, taken care of, everything. But I think it was really, really important for our preparation going into qualifiers to challenge ourselves way more regularly. Sometimes in the international game, you kind of get into lulls depending on who you're playing because there's a couple top teams and then some of the other ones aren't as crisp, I would say. So playing internationally against some of these girls that are like top NCAA D1 players is really cool.
Right. How's the travel in the league?
Travel was pretty good. Like it wasn't too far. And I mean, we got some great bonding time on the bus, which is cool. Again, felt like I was in college again, which is nice. But it was awesome to get to go to a bunch of different areas. Like Florida was great because I mean you're in this warm weather, and then when we got to play in Cleveland, like a bunch of the Ontario girls got family and friends come down to support. So it was a nice transition to kind of go to a bunch of different places in the States.
Right, that's awesome. Now, speaking of Olympic qualifiers, tell us about the emotions you had when you realized you'd be heading to Tokyo to represent Canada.
It's happening.
Yeah, as soon as Rafter hit that home run.
Oh man, like everyone dropping everything and just sprinting, just absolutely sprinting. Even though we were mentally, physically exhausted, we gave our best sprint to that home plate for her. I think just knowing how hard our team has worked together and then individually when we're separated, it was like, yes, like we did it. Like this is what we've been working towards. Like it was just like another step. We never doubted that it would happen, but it was nice to clench it and get it and be like, okay, like next, like there's still more work to do, but we were so excited. There's really no words. Yeah. Like this is happening.
Now, I know it was only a year and a half ago, but doesn't it feel like it was like 5 years ago?
Yeah, like I'm trying to think about it. I'm like, man, softball.
I know.
Softball so long ago.
Crazy.
DC, what was that? Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah.
But it's still so close to my heart. Mm-hmm. Although it was long ago. Yeah. But man, like the Olympics are so close yet so far away.
So speaking of Olympics, the lead in now, I know the end goal is obviously gold. How's the mindset going into it?
Taking every single day, a day at a time, to attack that moment and prepare to win a gold medal. We are no longer preparing to play games and, like do our best. Blah, blah. No. Like we're there training every single day to win a gold medal. And it is a vibe throughout the whole team that is so easily seen and felt, whether it's the body language, the intent behind every rep, the confidence, the awareness. Like there's so much going into it. This year, quote unquote, being off. I mean, not off, but the pandemic has been a blessing in disguise for the maturity and the growth within our team. So it's really, really cool to see. Even after everyone leaving camp, it was like, all right, people know what they're doing. Like they're getting their stuff done and we're ready to keep rolling.
Yeah. We asked Coach Smith when we had him on here about, whether he thought the pandemic was, a good thing or a bad thing. And he said he definitely thinks it's a good thing for you guys. Like you said, maturity level.
Yeah. People are so much more aware of themselves. And I'll be the first to say, like, I took a month in the summer to kind of step away from the game and be like, okay, how am I going to be where I need to be for this team? I have another year to do this. How am I going to do it right, like the best of my ability? Mm-hmm. And it was the best thing that could have happened. Not that I wasn't on track before, but it allowed me the space and the time to set everything up in line to where I needed to go is the best case scenario.
Yeah. Well, here's hoping for gold anyway. I mean, my fingers are crossed.
Thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, before we get on to the last segment here, I want to ask about your sponsorship with Mizuno. I see you recently re-signed with them. Tell us about your affiliation with them.
So actually, I can't even remember how many years ago it was. The guy that Adam, who's the guy who talks with me, the rep, he actually grew up playing baseball against my brothers, which is kind of ironic.
Oh, wow.
So he's like, oh yeah, I know your brothers. So I was like, oh, that always seems to be the way that someone starts talking to me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, cool. Thanks. Nice. What do you think of them? Cool. And then it kind of got into a conversation about me. He noticed I used all Mizuno stuff at school, which was a perfect setup. Mm-hmm. I had loved my gear because it basically feels like I'm wearing nothing, which is hopefully what every catcher wants. You want to feel like you're light and athletic and able to move. And I'm a huge leather junkie. Both my parents owned a luxury leather good company growing up. So I'm bougie with what leather I choose.
Wow.
So I was like, I only like Mizuno because I love their leather. It's quality, but it's light. It's not bulky. And I was talking about all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, we really want to do a partnership with you. And I was like, oh, me? Natalie. And he's like, yeah, you. And I was like, oh, wow. I never even thought of this as a thing for female athletes. Yeah. I mean, men always get sponsorships and different promoting activity. And
yeah, exactly.
I guess I'd never been exposed to another woman having a sponsorship before. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? Cool. But as a female athlete representing Canada, it has taken a huge amount of pressure off my shoulders with spending money on my own equipment. It can get incredibly expensive. So having them as a partnership has been amazing. And I truly do believe in their product. And I love where they're going year to year. They're constantly evolving and growing. And it's something that I inspired to do as an athlete in my field. So I also like it with them and their different brands, right? Mm-hmm. So it was a good fit. It's always been a good fit. They treat me like royalty. I really appreciate it. They respect what I do. I try to help them. It's a win-win for both of us. So it's great.
Yeah. I love the custom glove design on the website. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Adam, I talked to Adam online too, back and forth, and he's like, make something up, create something. And I was like, all right, I'll come up with something. Anyway, but I love the product. It's awesome.
Yeah, they've been huge in helping us, especially with the Olympics back being in. They know how much it takes and how many bats it takes year in and year out, how many running shoes you go through based on all your conditioning sessions. They really understand, and they're here full 100 behind us, which is great.
That's fantastic. So anybody listening, go out and get your Mizuno products.
Yeah. If you want any suggestions, DM me.
Yes. So last thing on the podcast, something we do with every guest on here, we call it player association. I'm going to throw...
Larissa told me about this.
I'm going to throw out a name, and you can say as much or as little about them as you want. So here we go. The first
Hopefully
one...
I know the name.
First one I have... I hope you do too. First one is Alex Segal.
Oh. Alex, man. So she was my pitcher at Cal. She was my little stud. I was just listening to her walkout song the other day. in the gym and actually thinking about her. Wow, what a competitor. She just stepped on the mound and this is going to sound bad, but she knew she was getting that person out, which was awesome. As a catcher, I was like, yeah, let's do it.
That's fantastic.
And she was totally on board with our mindset going into games. And we were basically on the same level with, how do I describe it? Our preparation is a very relaxed, like the calm before the storm. So you'd see us warming up before games. We're like dancing to some Chris Brown. You're like chilling, shaking the shoulders a little bit. And then the second you step on the field, it's like, game on, honey, let's go. So it was like really cool that we were vibing at the same level, which was nice. But man, she was a stud at Cal. She did a lot for that program.
That's awesome. Next one on the list is Shelby Leah, or is it Leah?
Leah.
Shelby Leah.
She actually FaceTimed me this morning. She's
wow.
my other dog mom because she just got a puppy a couple months ago too.
Nice.
I call her she's basically my wife. My husband knows this as well. She's like my soul sister. She knows everything and anything about me and how I'm dealing with things. So even throughout my journey with the national team now, she's now not playing at the level she was before with me, but she'll still check in. She still understands the process. She's still there for me. She was my maid of honor at my wedding. So she's a pretty big deal in my life.
Wow.
But an athlete for sure. She was another one on Cal's team that was at second base and then at first base and then played third base and was just this, like whatever the team needed, just dominating wherever she was called upon.
Yeah, it's always good to have those utility players for sure.
Yeah.
Next on the list is, well, I let her have talk about you, so it's only fair, Larissa Franklin.
And she warned me about this too. So I love the relationship I'm building with Larissa. So we were, I think not last year, but the last time our team was together, we asked to be roommates because we are early birds, go to sleep early in the night. So we're basically the grandmas on the team, but everyone sees her as this goofy, outgoing, crazy girl on the field, which is amazing. I love that part of her.
Yeah.
But she's actually very deep and thoughtful and wise and genuine.
Mm-hmm.
When you get her one-on-one and you're just chatting about life.
Yeah.
She's incredibly wise beyond her years. So I just have a lot of respect for learning both sides of her, which is really cool, and seeing her kind of develop as the individual she is.
Yeah, right on. That's awesome. Next is Erica Polidori.
That's a good So I've had the honor of playing with Erica for a while now. I remember when I first got picked up with the Brantford Bobcats, her dad kind of took me under her wing, and I went to the tournament with them, and my parents couldn't be there, so he was kind of like my father when I was away. But Erica's always been someone that I truly look up to. She is fairly quiet and thoughtful, but when she says something, you know it means a lot, and you know she's put thought into it, and it is you should listen. Like she has good things to say, and she carries herself in such a way that is confident without being cocky. Mm-hmm. It's like a quiet confidence, shoulders back. You know, like it's just such a good vibe to be around. And then she's a crazy cat mom, and I was a crazy cat mom, so like we just are on that level. Instantly bond. Cat moms. Yeah, instantly. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Last one on the list is Janet Leung.
Janet. I have a soft spot for my Janet. She'll probably listen to this and kill me. So she grew up in the Mississauga North Tigers organization, which I did as well. And I remember a couple years back, she was trying out for the senior women's national team, and she had not made it yet, but she was a part of the junior women's national team beforehand. Mm-hmm. And I remember being at a facility with her, and I didn't really know her that well yet. I later found out she was deathly nervous of me. I don't know why. I'm not like a scary person that I know of. But I remember sitting her down and telling her, listen, I know you haven't made the team right now, but you need to be ready for 2020. I was like, you're going to be on this team. The time isn't right now, but like, if that means that you're on the team a year before and you just got to go to the Olympics, like whatever you're doing right now needs to be aligned with that. Mm-hmm. And she was like, but I haven't even been on the team yet. And I was like, trust me, like you're going to be on the team. Like you just need to keep working.
Right.
And from that point forward, I've just kind of held her so close, and we've created such a good bond where we live like 10 minutes away from one another. So it's like, hey, you want to go on a walk with a mask, but like on a walk? And we've built our relationship outside of softball, which has strengthened our relationship inside of softball, which is like really, really, really cool.
Fantastic. Well, Nat,
you picked some of my favorite people.
Man, I'll tell you, I'm not going to lie. I kind of do my research.
Oh, nice. Made my job easy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I got to thank you for coming on. This has been awesome. Like this has been one of my favorites so far. Really easy to talk to. I wish you the best of luck at the Olympics in Tokyo. I hope you guys bring home the gold, and thanks again for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It was such an honor, and it was really fun. And I'm glad that Luna didn't bark or, throw this all off in the middle of it.
Yeah, Uncle Randy would be getting after her.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Nat, thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.
Anywhere, anytime. Yeah, it's due time, huh? It's just perfect timing. It's just perfect timing. Yeah, I needed Def Jams to rap a lot. Came up in the 90s, you can hear the snap, crackle, pop. Crack the shackles off, raps David Hasselhoff. Fell, scrape my knees, got back up and wiped the gravel off. I did this with no piggyback, like how they said P. Diddy did on Biggie's back. Said you're lying, you little kitty cat. I'm money in the bank, what's a 50 rack? Give me that. Splitting wigs like a quarter wood, strict like the quarter law, tip a quarter liquor raw. Been recording for a quarter of my life, now my headquarters and my tennis court are looking right. Who wanna play with me, rage with me? Love the ones who learn to change with me, stay with me. Every day me and Merck show our worth, cause nobody wanna die underpaid and overworked, oh no. Throw them up high, real high, throw them up. Took a minute till they listen, now they know what's up. Thought I told y'all before, no one as cold as us. We shut it down and shut them up, kid. Get ready. Anywhere, anytime. No time for jokes. Get ready. It's just perfect timing. This the kind of beat that go. This the kind of beat that go. This the kind of beat that go. Ba-ta-ta. This the kind of beat that go. This the kind of beat that go. This the kind of beat that go. Ba-ta-ta. Yeah. I've been breaking down them doors since a youngin' and now I'm posing for pictures when